Proactive governance and purposeful leadership at the ministerial level is the determination and sense of responsibility to possibly do what is best in the areas of policy initiatives and effective implementation of developmental programs and infrastructural projects, since government is a continuum. And so, let's share with you the progress report so far across federal ministries, agencies, and parastatals on the minister's platform right away. Glad to have you join us. We'll be right back. Fresh developments across federal ministries, agencies, and parastatals is usually encapsulated and disseminated on Ministry News. What's new on Ministry News? The Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, has revealed after the recent Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja that the federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari has recovered about $1 billion looted funds so far. The minister, who was speaking to State House correspondents, further disclosed that the federal government recorded 109 convictions before 2015 and has convicted over 3,000 offenders, with the recovery of $300 million from Switzerland in 2017. While expressing disappointment at budget padding, a practice he described as worrisome, Malami also announced that FEC approved a new anti-corruption strategy document to reinforce anti-graft operations nationwide.
Today, we are recording successes in terms of convictions to the extent that a single agency of government, if you take, for example, the EFCC, within a year, I'm talking of 2022, we have recorded over 3,000 convictions, from the point of 109 convictions in over 10 years by previous administration. And then if you are looking at it from other perspectives, for example, perspectives relating to the recovery of the looted assets, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari has succeeded in recovering around $1 billion from its inception to date.
The Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ehanire, has reiterated federal government's commitment to providing quality healthcare services to Nigerians, particularly the retirees and elderly across the country, through the provision of National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS. Dr. Hanire made this assertion at the formal presentation of the second report of the Ministerial Committee for the provision of NHIS to retirees and elderly Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022 in Abuja. The minister also revealed that the initiative was part of President Muhammadu Buhari's strategies for attaining the universal health coverage. The Minister of Women Affairs, Mrs. Pauline Talin, has said as of November 22, 2022, Nigeria has recorded about 11,053 cases of gender-based violence, going by the information available from the National Situation Room and Data Dashboard. The minister disclosed this on Thursday during the 59th edition of the Ministerial Media Briefing organized by the Presidential Communications Team at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. According to her, fatal cases numbered at 401, 592 are considered closed cases, while open cases are 3,507. She, however, called on the government at all levels to check the dangerous trend. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, has assured Nigerians of the federal government's commitment to take proactive measures to forestall strike by doctors and other health workers through the review of the CONMES and CONHES salary structures. The minister made the government's pledge during a courtesy visit on him by the Nigerian Medical Association NMA recently in Abuja. The NMA team, led by its president, Dr. Uche Ojinma, had catalogued challenges facing nursing doctors in Nigeria, especially the review of the Consolidated Medical Salary Structure, (CONMES). The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has disclosed that the federal government, through FEC, has approved 14 billion naira as a budget augmentation for the Kano Western Bypass, awarded to Dantata and Sawo Construction Company. Speaking to journalists after the FEC meeting, the minister said the contract was inherited from previous administrations, but added that the Muhammadu Buhari administration was determined to complete it.
Augmentation of the contract price for the completion of the Kano Western Bypass, which was awarded to Mrs. Dantata and Sawo. We inherited this project, which had essentially not been funded in previous budget years. We are now executing it by the Sukuk. Council considered and approved the augmentation, revised the contract sum from 22 billion to 36.869 billion.
The Senate has endorsed the federal government 48 billion naira oil pipeline surveillance contract to government Ekpomopolo, popularly known as Tompolo. The ex-Niger Delta militant leader now leads the protection of oil pipelines in Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, and River State. In August, the President Muhammadu Buhari administration engaged Tompolo due to increasing oil theft in the South-South. The Senate on Thursday took up the Minister of Defense, retired Major General Bashiru Magashi, on the insertion of 11 billion naira in the proposed 2023 budget of the Defense Ministry. The Senate Committee on Defense uncovered the gap in the 11 billion naira in 2023 budget of the ministry during defense of the entire proposal of the minister. The amount was observed and pointed out by the Vice Chairman of the committee, Senator Itzifanos Giang, PDP Plateau North, comprises of 8.6 billion naira earmarked for the procurement of military hardware, equipment, and 2.25 billion naira for safe school initiatives. The two items, when critically viewed, were not supposed to be in the ministry's budget, since hardware procurements are done by the Army, Navy, and Air Force, and safe school initiatives by the Federal Ministry of Education. The Honorable Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Adeleke Mamora, says science, technology and innovation sectors will raise the nation's gross domestic product (GDP). The minister, who stated this during the celebration of the World Science Day in Abuja, explained that developing countries where resources are invested in science, technology and innovation have reaped high GDPs and blooming economies, adding that all development should be hinged on them for sustainability. The Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, has disclosed that the federal government has promised to establish a passport processing center in Alimosho local government area and other areas as part of efforts to ease the difficulties experienced in the issuance of passports. The minister will disclose this on Tuesday at the 4th edition of the PNB Administration Scorecard 2015 to 2023 series, assured that challenges being encountered in the issuance of passports were being addressed.
We have more projects
And finally, on ministry news, the Minister of Environment, Mohammed Abdullahi, has noted that ensuring safety and workable infrastructure will enhance economic growth and development in Nigeria. The minister was represented by an executive officer at the Federal Ministry of Environment, Alhaji Muhammad Ali, at a two-day Niger Delta Infrastructure Security Summit. The minister further solicited the support of all stakeholders, including the oil and gas sectors, host communities, and civil society organizations, in addressing the dilapidation of critical infrastructure, stressing that Nigeria, as a major oil-producing nation, had made huge investment in critical infrastructure. The presidency in the scheme of governance in Nigeria is a strategic, vibrant arm of government. What's new from the presidency? Let's find out. President Muhammadu Buhari unveiled the new currency notes on Wednesday morning before the Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House, Abuja. The redesigned notes presented to the public are the 1,000, 500 and 200 denominations, which are the highest currency denominations in the country. Speaking during the unveiling, the president underscored the importance of redesigning the naira, noting that it will help the country to address the issue of illicit financial flows, corruption, improve the economy, and the value of the Nigerian currency.
Central banks and national authorities to issue new or redesigned currency notes every 5 to 8 years. Yet, it is now almost 20 years since the last major redesign of our local currency. This implies that the naira is long overdue to wear a new look.
President Muhammadu Buhari has named Loretta Onochie as the substantive chairman of the Niger Delta Development Board, NDDC, alongside 150 other nominees as members of the board. The appointments were contained in a letter to the Senate President Ahmed Lawan, who read it out at the start of plenary on Wednesday.
Dear distinguished Senate President, confirmation of appointment of chairman and members of Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, in accordance with the provision of Section 2, Subsection 2A of the Niger Delta Development Commission Act, Cap N86, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, I hereby present the unlisted 15 names of nominees as chairman and members of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, for confirmation by the Senate.
The presidency recently said the naming of a road after President Muhammadu Buhari in Niger Republic was an indication of the tremendous respect which Nigeria's neighbors have towards the president. Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity to the President, Malam Garba Shehu, disclosed this in the Nigerian capital, Niamey, after Buhari inaugurated a major road named after him. Shehu said President of Niger Republic, Mohamed Bazoum, accompanied by the mayor of Niamey and other officials, took the president on a tour of the 3.8 kilometers boulevard inaugurated in line with the country's constitutional provisions.
It's not one of those things that are done to please the leader while he is there. You can see, at the ceremony, the Nigerian president gave the decree, signed by the mayor of Niamey, written in line with the country's constitution, naming this street as Muhammadu Buhari Boulevard. And the essence of that decree is that it is never to be changed for life. So it will continue to be in his own name.
The president is currently in Niamey to attend the AU Summit on Industrialization, Economic Diversification in the Nigerian capital.
Serve as a clarion call to emerging leaders across Africa and inspire them to always be guided by the core values of hard work, integrity, and patriotism, and also work in accordance with the rule of law and constitutional constraints.
And finally, from the presidency, President Muhammadu Buhari at the opening ceremony of the 2022 Institute of Directors Conference charged corporate leaders to demonstrate good leadership qualities and act as role models to the younger generation. Represented by the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, the president called on leaders to encourage the younger generation on innovation, capacity building, and technological advancement. You're still watching the Minister's Platform. Let's now bring you the sight and sound of the presidential flag-off of the first oil drilling project in Bauchi and Gombe states by President Muhammadu Buhari.
Today is important in the economic history of our nation as we move closer to production of oil and gas in the upper Benue Trough, specifically the Kolmani River oil and gas field straddling Bauchi and Gombe states. This is indeed significant considering that efforts to find commercial oil and gas outside established Niger Delta Basin was attempted for many years without the desired outcomes. However, the successful discovery of the Kolmani oil and gas field by NNPC and her partners has finally broken the jinx record by confirmation of a huge commercial deposit of hydrocarbons in Kolmani River field. This discovery had emanated from our charge to NNPC to re-strategize and expand its oil and gas exploration footprints to the frontier basins of Anambra, Dahomey, Sokoto, Benue Trough, Chad, and Bida basins. Similar activities across the other basins are currently actively ongoing. We are pleased with the current discovery of over 1 billion barrels of oil reserves and 500 billion cubic feet of gas within the Kolmani area, and the huge potentials for more deposits as we intensify exploration efforts. It is therefore to the credit of this administration at a time when there is near zero appetite for investment in fossil energy, coupled with the location challenges, we are able to attract investment of over $3 billion United States dollars to this project.
We need to make conscious and serious efforts at diversifying our economy. While we are getting the resources from the oil, we should be looking at how to make the oil resources move out, develop more and more areas of the real sector. I'm also worried because what has been happening in the Niger Delta with the 13% derivation, or maybe the application, or maybe in some cases misapplication of the resources of the NDDC would have negative impact all the time. And this is something for this part of the new oil-bearing states to learn from. Or 13% derivation, I think maybe we should have a constitutional review. How do you apply the 13% derivation?
The commencement of drilling of Kolmani fields, which could hold as much as 1 billion barrels of crude oil, will significantly contribute in boosting our oil reserves and ensuring a continuous energy sufficiency.
Our partner and stakeholder engagements have indicated unquestionable zeal to support our campaigns for further exploration activities and for the delivery of this project in particular. May I particularly mention the extreme collaboration and support of the governments and people of Bauchi and Gombe states. We are convinced that this collaboration will be sustained to drive the delivery of value to all Nigerians.
Let's now bring you facts you need to know about the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, NIPRD, on our ministry, agencies, and parastatals in focus segment. The National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, NIPRD, is a federal government parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Health. The agency was established by Government Order Number 33, Volume 74 of 11th June 1987, Part B, under the Science and Technology Act Cap 276. It became functional in the year 1989. In 2001, following the Federal Executive Council decision, NIPRD was moved to the Federal Ministry of Health with a huge investment in scientific equipment and human resources. NIPRD is the only one of its kind in the region and is statutorily charged with the responsibility for research and development of drugs, vaccines, phytomedicines, commodities, and diagnostics aimed at improving sustainable access to safe, affordable, and high-quality health care. NIPRD also undertakes activities relating to capacity building, policy making, data collation, drug distribution, and the development of contextual partnerships that can expedite access to healthcare. NIPRD was designated a Center of Excellence COE in the African sub-region in research and development of drugs, vaccines, phytomedicine, and diagnostics towards improving the health and well-being of Nigerians and mankind by the African Network for Drugs and Diagnostics Innovation in 2011. NIPRD is ISO 9001-2015 certified by the Standards Organization of Nigeria and recently got its laboratory accredited by the ANSI ASQ National Accreditation Board (ANAB) for ISO 17025-2017 in the field of technical competence in testing. The optimal functioning of the institute has however been limited by various factors including poor funding and a low R&D to new product development. In the next phase of the institute's strategic plan, more aggressive and contextual approach underpinned by collaborative and integrated platform needs to be formulated, which includes robust engagement with the pharmaceutical companies for NPD, increased collaboration with Nigerian and foreign agencies, as well as an intensive backward integration plan to stimulate local product of excipients, pharma inputs, and other relevant raw materials relevant for the sector. The NIPRD is currently under the able leadership of the Director General, Chief Executive, Dr. Obi Adigwe.
The fact that there are no strict laws that governs or guides.
At the verge of elections in Nigeria, politicians make fantastic promises. But on getting into office, the story is different. What can Nigerians do to ensure that politicians are accountable? Nigerians speak.
Voting for the right candidate first. I think that's where it starts from, before we can actually make them accountable. By actually fulfilling their promises, probably good roads, good lights, job opportunities, and once we notice that they're not actually coming forth with what they promise, I think it's also an avenue to push for either they resign or they are impeached, or we hold them accountable by making sure they give us a report or a daily analysis or what they've done. And also NSAS are actually opened our eyes to a certain extent where they can actually be accountable, because if not for that massive protest, I believe most leaders will not sit up by now. We can see the competition happening within the three contestants or the three presidential candidates that are coming forth and trying to vie for the one seat, the number one seat of this country. So I think that alone has actually put them on their feet, that they know that yes, this time around, it is no longer a hula baloo thing for everybody.
The best thing that they have to do is first, you get your PVC as it is. Then secondly, any politicians that fails, let the citizens come together and make sure that they take that one out immediately. Once you fail on your promises, then you know that you are out. Let the government give the citizens rights, even if it is after 6 months, that they can come back and recall that politicians from their place back
to the community where it comes from and replace them with people that are reasonable and know what they are doing.
But a written document of an agreement between the citizens and the politicians. They are to agree with what the citizens says, because the citizens, the government is by the people, and the people that by government, and the government of the people. So the politicians are part of the government, and the citizens are the ones who hold the authority of the politicians. So if they do not agree what the politician says, there have to be a written document between them and the citizens of the country, which they are empowered to rule.
And what we can do as citizens is to keep asking them questions. Before, when they come for campaign, we should ask them questions. And the local government, state governments should ask questions. And then we should always be on our toes to make sure they perform. We can invite the press in our own little way, in our local governments, like in town hall meetings. We invite the senator, we invite our representatives to ask them questions, most especially when the election is, coming now.
I don't know there is any oracle which, we should present to them that we fear them, because, politicians, they are deceivers. So, and if care is not taken, anything they tell you now, tomorrow they will turn against you. So what I believe, we need spiritual father. We put their case on the altar, to the altar of God or altar of oracle.
First of all, your vote is your power. So if you want to make a politician accountable to their words or their manifesto, first of all, you have to vote for the right candidate. That's so that in the nearest future, there will be no complaint about that. So then secondly too, there should be an avenue for dialogue with the politician while they are still in position, in order to ask them how far they've gone and what they have done.
Well, you have heard the various ways the citizens can hold the politicians accountable when they get into office. My name is Abisola Oladele. The program continues in a moment.
Democratic governance is characterized by transparency and accountability in the public sector, with special reference to the Federal Ministries. That's what we preach on the Ministers platform on TV Nigeria. Join us again next time for another interesting, informative package on the Ministers platform. Thanks for watching.